Blue Dog Films presents Paid to Dream with Charles Dennis. Hello, welcome back to Paid to Dream. And here's my very, very, very special guest and a friend of 30 years, God knows, Miss Laila Robins in New York City. Laila!
Oh, hello. Hello to LA or wherever you are. Right? Topanga Canyon.
Yes, and we don't know. It looks like you're in heaven right now, but
I'm going for that.
you're your own art director for this because your place is being renovated. You and Bob Cuccioli, who 25 years now? Is it 25 years?
25, yeah, last March 25th, 2025 was 25 years. So we had kind of a special kind of anniversary, right? Just this past year. Yeah. Yeah, and we're doing a renovation. You wouldn't believe what I'm sitting in. It looks like I'm in heaven, but you wouldn't believe the piles of things that I'm sitting in at the moment.
We've all sat in piles of things in our time, God knows.
Oh, never again, never again.
You know, the wonderful thing for me about doing this podcast is I get to see friends who I wouldn't see for the longest time. I did, as you know, Brian Cox, our friend, last week, and I realized I hadn't seen him in a couple of years, but there he was, and we had a lovely visit.
Nice. Yes. I think he was in his country home from what I could tell
Oh,
from the background. Yeah, I think he was.
that's not, well, I didn't even ask, but that's not the place in Brooklyn. That's interesting.
Well, he could be many places, couldn't he?
Oh, gosh.
He can be everywhere, actually. Mr. Cox can.
He is Mr. Ubiquitous.
Mr. Ubiquitous Brian Cox. Yeah.
And you did Skylight with him, right? In LA.
Yes, we did Skylight at the Mark Taper Forum, and it was a three-hander with also Michael C. Hall and Bob Egan, who was the associate there, directed us. It was quite a while ago now, but we certainly had a good time. But I just had the pleasure of working with Bob Egan again. I was just in Vermont at Dorset Theater Festival doing a revival of Other Desert Cities by John Robin Bates, and we're hoping to have it move elsewhere, hopefully, because it was really wonderful.
I hereby declare you, forget about Helen Hayes, you are the first lady of the American theater, as far as I'm concerned.
Oh, oh well, from
Who does more theater than you do?
well, actually, I hadn't done a play for 5 years. So this was my first play in 5 years, and actually I was quite concerned about learning the lines. Because, with TV and film, it's boom, 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 and you're out. But to do 2.5 hours of play, where I basically talked the whole time, I was a little trepidatious. But you know what? We got through it and we did it, and it was so wonderful to be back in front of an audience. I just enjoyed it so much.
I know. I force myself. It's now 3 years since I last went on stage, and I'm now preparing to do another show, and I'm very excited about it. So we're going to do
Oh, you are?
a staged reading on November the 9th at a place called the Hobgoblin Theater in Los Angeles.
Is it-
And it's called it's the sheer force of will, and it's about the conflict between Clifford Odets and his father, who was one of the great monsters of all time.
Oh, wow. Wow. And did you write this play?
Yes, and I'll be playing Louis J. Odets.
Oh my goodness. How wonderful.
Yeah, I'm very.
Well, you're a wonderful playwright. I worked on we did readings of was it called Waiting in the Wings? No.
Going on,
Going on. Going on.
waiting in the wings is Noel Coward, but that's all right. I don't mind sharing that with him. Uh, it's one of my fondest memories that Jeffrey Holder, of blessed memory, wanted to help us get the show done, and so he said, "I'm sending you to Lucille Hotel."
Yes.
You remember that morning or after
And we went to her apartment, right? We went to her apartment,
in the Sherry, Netherlands?
and wasn't it hot as hell? Oh God, yes. And it was very hot, I remember.
Well, and that was the thing. She was quite deaf, and she had the original air conditioning unit that was like, "Brrr." And we were told by Jeffrey, only the first act.
Oh, I see.
And so you and I sat there in this Miss Havisham, a little cleaner, but it was very, and there was this old lady in the corner, and you and I are shouting the lines at each other so that Lucille Lortel can hear us on top of the air conditioning.
Over the AC? Yes, I do remember that, thinking, I'm not sure I'd shout the entire play if I were to play it, but it's working right now.
And I just kept thinking, is it going to end soon? And we got to the end of Act One, and Lucille Lortel then went, Act Two.
Oh,
And we had to read the rest of the. I thought, we're in. She loves it. We never heard from her again. I wonder how many people went.
well, that was obviously a compliment. She wanted it to go on.
Absolutely.
No pun intended, going on.
But you did get to work at her theater. Not our show, but did you appear at the.
Yes, I did. I've done several shows there. I did the play with Uta Hagen there called Mrs. Klein with Amy Wright and Uta, which was a wonderful experience. We did 9 months at the Lortel, and then we toured the country for 3 months, and that was really wonderful to spend that time with both of those ladies. And then later, I did a play for Red Bull Theater. It was Strindberg's Dance of Death, and I did that with Danny Davis.
I saw you do it at the Westwood Playhouse here in LA. Was it the Westwood?
No, no, no. Which one?
Uh, uh,
Mrs. Klein?
Mrs. Klein.
No, we were supposed to come to LA, but we never did. We did Stanford, we did San Francisco, and we did Chicago. And when we were in Chicago, we thought we were going to go on to LA, but then it didn't. And so we had our last performance without really knowing it was our last performance, which was kind of sad. It didn't go to LA. You must have seen it in New York then, at the Lortel.
Must have seen it in New York. Okay. Uh,
Yeah. No, we were supposed to go to LA, but it didn't happen.
and now that she's gone, I think you're allowed to answer things. I remember you told me that there was a speech that she cut because it was too close to her own experience, something about the daughter. Do you remember?
Well,
But she hadn't told you she was cutting it. You were something like,
yeah, there was a speech towards the end. Well, she had promised me that we would always discuss things if she were going to cut something and that she would give me time to absorb it. But it was towards the end of the play, and there was something about being a cow, some sort of reference to being a cow. And Uda decided one day to cut it. I came in and I was told to come in a little bit early. She said, "We're cutting this line." I went, "Wait, wait, 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 wait. I play the rest of the play. You leave the stage." And I'm sort of my ending is sort of having heard that line. So I found it very discombobulating and I just wanted a moment to sort of absorb it. And she said, "No, when I say it, it's done and you'll just have to adjust." And I was very upset with her because I felt a little off balance. But so we didn't talk for about a week. And then she said, "Lila, we can't go on like this." So we had a little meeting at her apartment with our director, Billy Carden, and we worked it through. And we love each other dearly before and after that. It was just a little bump in the road,
oh, good.
um, just because I felt that she didn't fulfill what she said she would do, if she were to change something. And I felt like I needed time to absorb the change. But maybe I didn't. I just did it. It was just a little discombobulating for me.
Uta Hagen is like, in a way, like Catherine Cornell. There's no record of this great work because, she only did, what, two movies, perhaps? So people today have no idea.
Wait, I'm wondering, did we film Mrs. Klein, though, for Lincoln Center Library? I really don't have a record. Probably, probably not. For some reason, I don't think we did, but that's a shame
I think
because it was really.
she only did a movie called The Other, which was a Tom Tryon thriller, and I think she's also in The Boys from Brazil, and that's it.
Yes, she is. She is. She plays the maid. I think she plays the maid at the end of the movie or something. Yeah. But she was a dynamo, man. She was intense and she was wonderful and she was very respectful, actually, you know. Uh, when you're working with a legend like that, you can imagine getting a lot more notes, but she was very disciplined about if she did have notes, they kind of got funneled through the director. So that was really the best way to go. And she only at one point said to me, I wish you would stress this word instead of that word. And I said, oh, you're absolutely right. Thank you. So it was only one moment where she gave me a note, which I'm sure she was tempted to give me many notes along the way.
You know, if I
But I really enjoyed her, and we would go out, you know, for drinks every night. And at a certain point, I started doing chamomile tea because my voice was getting tired. And she said, "Why don't you have a real drink? What's wrong with you, Lila?" And I said, "No, it's my voice. I have to take care of it." And she loved her sea breezes. That was her drink. And actually went out to Montauk with her too to visit her home out there, which was really beautiful.
did she have much of a relationship with Letitia Ferrer, her daughter?
Yeah, Letty was around. Letty was around. Um, I don't know much about their relationship per se, but she was around, and they would pick her up every Sunday. You know, they pick her up in the car after the show on Sunday and take her to Montauk to have her day off. You know, at the beach.
Did she continue working as an actress, her daughter?
And it was just from the.
Do you know? Oh, I saw her
I don't know. I don't know.
when I was a kid. The tour, the national tour of After the Fall. She was in that.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah, and a lot of people aren't even aware that Jose Ferrer and Uda had been married all those years ago.
Yes, yes.
So she's
Yes, I do run into Letty now and again. You know, I think she's still very involved with HB Studio, the Herbert Berghoff acting studio. That he and Uda ran it together, and I taught there a little bit. They asked me to teach there for a bit after I'd done a couple things with them. I'd played Uda's daughter before in a play called The Silver Fox by Donna Di Matteo. We did it out in East Hampton way back in the day. And that was the first time I worked with her playing her daughter. And then I got the opportunity in Mrs. Klein.
has the AC come back again?
No, I've opened a window instead because in New York today, it's actually cool. It's quite cool. But sometimes because of the way the apartment's set up, I don't quite get it pulled into the apartment. But the AC is off. And the contractors have gone to the hardware store. So all is well.
All those years ago, or a few years ago, whatever, in Minnesota, as a young girl, what was it that put the acting bug in you?
Well, um, I kind of think it's when I went to see 101 Dalmatians with a friend of mine who had a birthday around the same time. And we went to see 101 Dalmatians, the animated film, and I saw Cruella de Vil with her fur coat and her cigarette and her cheekbones, and I thought, oh my God, I must play that woman. So I went home and wrote a play so I could be her
And how old were you?
in my basement. It wasn't the first play. I don't, maybe I was 9, 10.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I did the same thing when I was 7.
But it was the first play. Oh, you were 7 when you caught the bug.
Yeah, and I'm doing this book now called "Who the Hell is Charles Dennis?" All about all the people I've encountered, and
Oh,
I had my tonsils out when I was 7, and my cousin Cookie gave me this big coffee table kind of, it seemed to me at the time, of Peter Pan, which had just come out, the Disney animated movie. And when I finished reading it, and this is the part I've never understood, I didn't even know what a theater was. I had no idea about a play, but something in me wanted to replicate what I had just seen in the book. And I got all the kids in the neighborhood together, and we did it in my backyard.
oh.
And the problem was there was only one person left to be the audience because all the other kids were in the show. And then a year later, my mother enrolled me in this acting class. And that's where it really took off because I did my first radio show on my 8th birthday. But I don't know where this other thing came from. Nobody in my family had any connection to the theater. There was no gene that was.
Interesting. It was just in you somewhere, in your DNA somewhere way back. Yeah, I think my debut on the stage was at church playing, Mary in the Nativity story.
Did you have to read for it?
I believe no, I didn't. But and then I put plays on. I put Rumpelstiltskin on in my basement. I turned a tricycle upside down and turned it into the spinning wheel, and I did kind of a alphabet sort of review of the alphabet, and can't remember what other plays we did. But as just like you, there weren't many people in the audience because I grew up in a little dead end street in St. Paul, Minnesota, which literally had five houses on one side and five on the other. So a lot of the kids were in the show, so the audience was quite small, for sure.
Um, we know quite well that you're of Latvian descent. Were the other people in the neighborhood Latvian as well?
No, there were some Latvians a few blocks away. Maybe about three or four Latvian families in my little neighborhood. But my church was in Minneapolis. It was a Lutheran Latvian church, and yeah, no, that was the other reason I was kind of drawn to theater is because my mother and father had immigrated from Latvia during World War II and lived in a refugee camp and come over to the States and pick broccoli for $5 a day. And then my father, got his doctorate in chemistry and in Seattle. And then he moved the whole family to St. Paul, Minnesota, where he invented 48 things for 3M. But that's a long story to say my mother was kind of very melancholy about having left Latvia. And she was a little of a depressive. And the only thing that really made her smile was going to the theater. So I think as a child, you kind of see what makes mommy smile or what makes mommy happy. And I think I just kind of went, oh, I think I'll do that because I loved seeing her be happy. So I think that was probably one of the motivating factors as well.
Your first movie was Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
That was my first Hollywood movie. My first independent movie was a thing called, oh, good Lord. I'm forgetting the name of it now because there's another movie, a Hollywood movie of the same title. Oh my goodness, I can't come up with it. But it was with Terry Kinney and Kevin Anderson, and it was Raphael Silver, Joan Micklin Silver's husband, directed it. And we were down A Walk on the Moon, it was called. Walk on the Moon. There's a Walk on the Moon that's a Hollywood movie, but this is the independent one. And we shot it in Mexico. So that was my first movie, and then Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
And your first Mexican movie. Because as I recall, you went to Mexico years later and did a movie with Charles Dance.
Yes, called The Blood Oranges. That was interesting. Mexico, beautiful. Loved being there. I loved all my experiences there. But yeah, Planes, Trains, that was in Hollywood. And, my time with Steve Martin and John Candy was very small because in the film, they're off, having their adventure, and I'm at home waiting for them to come home.
But
So a lot of my
did you shoot your sequence in Hollywood or back in Chicago? Because I know John Hughes liked to.
in Hollywood. In Hollywood, in fact, I was sent out there, and John Hughes didn't like the set of the house. He didn't like what it looked like, so they sent me home for a couple weeks, and they rebuilt it entirely. Back when they had budgets, and then had me come out again and shoot. I can't remember. Maybe we shot a week total, probably. But by then, they were already about 6 weeks over and millions of dollars over budget. So a lot of my stuff sort of ended up on the cutting room floor, unfortunately. I remember watching the premiere and being in shock, like, where did my whole role go? But I think there's a new version of it out where maybe some of the edited scenes are back in.
On the DVD? Yeah, could be.
Yeah, I think somebody mentioned that there was another cut of it that was out, perhaps including more of my scenes. I don't know. I haven't looked at it yet.
Something I discovered in my research, you must be aware of it, but not. You're in both versions of The Equalizer on TV.
You mean the one with the Queen Latifah?
Yeah, but you're also in the one
Yes, I'm in that one.
with Teddy Woodward, with Edward Woodward, the original.
Yes, in fact, that was my first TV job. I was down to my last $1,000 thinking, how am I going to pay my rent? And I was offered a Midsummer Night's Dream at the Hartford stage with Mark Lamos, which I really wanted to do, but I was running short on cash. So I got the Equalizer and I took that job instead and got to play Stanley Tucci's assistant. I think he played a politician and I was his assistant. So I got to work with Stanley Tucci, which was fun.
So you didn't work with Woodward.
He was there kind of peripherally in some of the scenes, in some of the political speeches and things like that. But I didn't have a real one-on-one with him. Most of my stuff, I think, was with Stanley Tucci.
He was a dear friend, and I, you know, one
Oh, was he? Oh, he seemed like such a nice.
wonderful, wonderful man. I met him when I first lived in England. He did a musical of Tale of Two Cities called Two Cities, and he had a party at his house, uh, Teddington, maybe, or one of those places. And I met all his kids, who were, young kids. And now I see them on all these PBS and all these British TV shows, and they are not kids anymore. But they're wonderful actors. Wonderful, wonderful.
How that happens.
Sarah Woodward, particularly, has found her niche on the show called Professor T. And she's hilarious.
Oh,
And I went, oh my God, that little girl.
oh, wonderful.
That's what happened when you lose track for decades and suddenly, oh, you know.
Yes, isn't that funny how that happens? They suddenly grow up.
Gabriel's Fire, James Earl Jones.
Yes. Yes, that was wonderful to work with James. Although, because I was a lawyer and he was my private investigator, so a lot of our show was separate from each other. They go into the streets with James, where he would do all the detective work. Then they pop back to me in the courtroom or in the office or something. So I didn't get as much time with him as I would have liked. But we did 22 episodes back in the day when you did 22 episodes. And it was a great learning experience for me because I was able to watch myself on TV every week and really learn, about the camera and what works and what doesn't work. And so it was a great opportunity for me. And James was so lovely. And then I came back to New York because I didn't want to live in LA. I came back to New York. We shot it in LA. I came back and I bought an apartment with the money I had made. And it's the best thing I ever did. I'm sitting in that apartment right now. And I'm on the corner and James Earl Jones comes walking across the street. I said, James, what are you doing here? Aren't you in LA? He said, no, I live right here.
He was your neighbor.
He literally lives, yeah, he was my neighbor, kitty corner on the corner. And he must have thought I was stalking him or something because it was like, I said, I just went over here.
Well, you and TV have made.
So I wouldn't see him on the street very often.
You've done very well with TV with this series. Homeland. I mean, whoa.
Yeah, the last 10 years have been very good. Homeland kind of changed my TV queue quite a bit. A whole season of that I shot in Cape Town. And then I did Murder in the First for a season with Taye Diggs. And then The Boys for Amazon. And then The Blacklist during the pandemic. And then during the pandemic also, I did the finale season of The Walking Dead, which is not my usual cup of tea, but it was a great job for the pandemic.
Oh, and I want to ask you, who dreamt up that look for you? Was that you or the producers?
Oh, with a little wig? Well, you know what? I hadn't seen the comic book. But when I got to the set and we were doing some tests of costumes and stuff, suddenly they gave me the comic book and I said, oh, she's got short hair. I should have short hair. So the wig lady ran out and was showing me with her camera all these wigs at this wig shop and said, how about if we try this, 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 and this? And I'm like, yeah, I think, because in the comic book, she has very short hair. But we went even shorter than that because we wanted it to be the kind of wig where the woman would walk in the room and you'd say, how dare she wear her hair that short? We wanted it to have kind of a little pow factor. But boy, did that wig, oh my God, it itched my head so badly. And we'd be out in the woods in a wool costume, 99 degrees, schwitzing, and the wig would itch so badly I could hardly wait to rip it off my head at the end of every day. So, but I mean, I loved having a very different look. That was a lot of fun. It goes to my motto, acting is hair.
Now, are you aware of this phenomenon called Tilly Norwood, the AI actress that they have created?
Oh, I saw something about it, but I didn't read the article. They're making an AI actor, right?
Yeah, and a lot of Emily Blunt was absolutely staggered and frightened. I have a friend in the voiceover business with me who doesn't want me to leave any. He doesn't leave messages for me for fear that someone will hack and take his voice and use it for other things.
Oh,
But I mean, do you have you thought about this AI business for actresses and actors in general? I mean, because I saw the clip.
well,
Go
I'm a
on
little,
YouTube and see the clip. It's terrifying because she is real.
but is she based on anyone?
A little here, a little there. You know, the,
Is the footage? Yeah. I remember when I did The Boys, I got into a booth where they photographed me tip to tail, every angle, doing different faces. But I think our union has protected us from that now. I think that was wasn't that part of the negotiation, this last strike that we had? I thought part of it was to protect us.
where are the teeth? You know, since Ed Asner left the planet, there's no one there to really fight. You know, it's scary because it still comes down to money. You know, we'll deal with that later.
Money?
Money? Who has money? Um, I was not aware until my research on you that there was an Albee play called The Lady from Dubuque. And have I got the name right?
Yes. The Lady from Dubuque, Edward Albee, yes.
And you won an award for a revival of it, yes?
Yeah. Um, I won an award from Actors Equity, the Jeff, oh, good God, Richard Seff, sorry, I'm conflating, Richard Seff Award. It was for a body of work because I had done some of the Richard Nelson Apple plays down at the Public, and done Lady from Dubuque because so I was showing kind of a range in my work over 1 year, and I don't know what the criteria for the award is, but I received that. That was a wonderful honor.
And your connection with
And I believe I was nominated for an Outer Critics Award. Um, yeah, I
and you did a wonderful revival of Tiny Alice, which I saw you do in New York.
once again, Edward Albee. Yes, yes.
Yes, so you're sort of an Albee. I mean, three tall women would be great for you to do.
Oh, I'd love to do that someday for sure, for sure. Yeah.
And you've never done Martha in the Virginia Woolf.
No, but I had gone to visit Edward when he was in the hospital. I went to visit him, and I said, "Oh, Edward, I would just love to do, Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf someday." And I said, "Can you imagine casting me?" Because he has to approve casting in his plays. And he said, "Well, I don't know that you're a perfect fit." And I said, "Well, in what way? What do you mean?" He said, "I don't think you're vulgar enough." And I said, "Well, you ain't seen nothing yet, honey." No.
What the fuck is your problem?
Yeah. But I mean, I hope to do that someday. I don't know if he's got people who look after his work, maybe they have to approve casting now, but I would love to do Martha someday for sure. And also, because Uta was the first Martha, and it would be kind of a nice full circle sort of moment with Uta for me to play that role.
Paula Prentice approached me 20 years ago and asked me to do the opening scene of Virginia Woolf with her for Salome Jens's acting class.
Oh,
And I was like, what? How could I? And then I found out she's George is 8 years younger than Martha because he makes a point of that.
ah,
And Paula was 8 years my senior.
yes.
And that that was a remarkable experience because we rehearsed it for a week, and then we went along to Salome Jens's class, and there was no one there except Salome.
Oh, really? Why is that?
So we weren't intimidated. I don't know, but we weren't intimidated by the audience. That's all I can say. Um,
Well, it only takes one, doesn't it, to be intimidated?
so back to the name of this show of mine, Paid to Dream, which comes from a quote from Ralph Richardson that if you're a painter or a sculptor, you can do whatever you want, whenever you want. But as an actor, you have to do it at 3 minutes past 8. And at 3 minutes past 8, you must dream.
Ah.
How do you feel about that?
Well, yes, you must. The show must go on, come hell or high water, or no matter what you're feeling that day or what you've been through. You must focus, concentrate, and dream. Yeah. That's what I love about the theater, is that you always get another shot at it. You could, oh, well, tonight maybe I'll focus on this for a change, or perhaps I'll work on that little bit. Something needs to be ironed out there, or oh, let me see if I can endow something on the stage with a little more detail or something. The things you get to work on if you get to do it over and over again. So often, with camera work, it's one and done and it's in the can, and after lunch you're going, oh, wait a minute, now I know what I would like to do, but you don't have the time or the luxury to do that. So that's the joy of theater. And the fact that it's a live audience, and that makes it different every night as well. Um, but I just love doing other desert cities because there's comedy there, there's politics there, there's it's very smart, witty play, and there's tragedy there. So it really kind of does the whole gamut. And it certainly, it takes a lot of energy. But boy, you just feel you feel useful. You feel, yes, I've done something. I've done something today. Feels good, a sense of accomplishment. Takes a lot to do a show.
I feel a sense of accomplishment having done this half hour with you.
Oh,
What a lovely,
well, I don't know what other stories I had for you, but
they were good. What a lovely visit we had, Lila.
but it's yeah, always,
I look forward to seeing you again soon.
always, and I wish you luck with the new play.
I will keep you and Desert Cities. I
I wish you luck with the new play.
hopefully we'll get to see each other.
Yeah.
Okay. Take down that backdrop.
Thanks so much. I don't know. We're loath to take it down because as soon as you take it down, the agent calls and says, "Oh, you have an audition," and then back up it goes.
Okay. Warmest regards to Bob.
Okay, thanks.
And this has been Paid to Dream with Charles Dennis. Tune in for the next one.